Hi there, it's me, Ganatar here. I'm recapping My Hero Academia Season 8, Episode 3, Total Episode 162, the Final Boss. Whether you're glued to the screen hearing about it in the passing or judging other responsibilities on top of it, the world is still holding its breath as the live broadcast of what appears to be the end of the symbol of peace. All Might at the hands of All for One. The villain slowly, giddily starts to split his torso in two, but the wrecked man spits up blood as the wound to his stomach tears open, and even more. While thinking about the warning Sir Night Eye gave about his death several years ago, as a windstorm starts picking up on the battlefield, and the rest of the weather around the globe starts warping as a result of all the battles in Japan. One world is about to watch this earth-shattering event shift its course of the power of just one person. With a brief look at each other with zero exchange of words, Deku and the newly revived Dynamite realize what needs to be done and move into the position themselves. Dynamite flies down to Deku from the coffin in the sky as the other boy swings close to him and stretches out his left arm while keeping Tomura still restrained with Black Whip. The two boys lock hands and exchange looks once more as they swing and angle themselves in the direction of All for One and All Might. The second user picks up on what Deku is trying to do and warns him about using gear shift at this moment due to the recoil and the fact that he advised on using it when the path to victory against Tomura is in sight. The man stops as he notices at the potentially solidified vestige of All Might and holds his tongue before looking on in understanding. Deku then activates gear shift, second gear, on Dynamite, as the latter begins storing up cluster explosions in his palms. With incredible timing and a mighty swing, Deku swings his classmate towards their target at breakneck speed. As Dynamite blazes through the ruined city while rushing his acceleration to the limit with his explosive speed cluster, Deku then readjusts his hold and attention on Tomura as the villain brags that his arch-enemy friend won't save All Might in time, ensuring his death is set in stone due to his solidifying vestige, and that his dream will go along with it and be swallowed up by reality once All for One ends his life. Same as for Sir Night Eye foresaw Deku's death at the hands of Overhaul. A strong vision of a brighter future molds together from the collective wishes of several people and changes fate for the better. As Dynamite closes in and rescues All Might from certain death, All for One stares at the unforgettable sight as he bathed in fire and his extremely torn off arms fly outwards, and All Might is vestige returns back to its internal golden form. All Might looks at his student in shock as his rescuer screams out that they're going to win this. All Might once again hallucinates Sir Night Eye speaking to him, asking if this was the moment he was supposed to die, and his dream of being a symbol of peace was to go along with it. The vision of his former sidekick confirms his theory, but explains that fate twisted things around, and while the dream still come to an end, the man who worked tirelessly for it still lives on, in service of the promise he made to his successor and mentor and his mother. All Might says his mark of death should have gotten in the way regardless, as it's typical for predators and of grand responsibilities to die with when they pass the torch onto their proteges. Sir Night says that type of thing only happens in comic books, which prompts All Might to ask why he's making the conversation play out like this. As the man comes back to his senses, the vision of Sir Night says it's simply because he's both hero and human, so he doesn't get to die so easily. All Might and Dynamite then slow down and tumble on the roof of a building. As the worldwide audience breathes a sigh of relief for the former symbol of peace and safety, with some recognizing Dynamite as the man's savior. All Might asks the boy if he's all right, with Dynamite quipping that the man's question was his line to say. But the one then pukes up a puddle of blood as Eggshot proclaims that it's his line too. The ninja hero, now severed, weakened, and reduced to nothing but a puny head on the top of a thread, snakes himself out of the structure he made out of Dynamite's chest. He tells the boy that he forced out the blood caused by the internal bleeding to make him comfortable, and after he questions the boy's condition, he coughs before detaching him from his body and falling into a puddle. As he structures and regenerates his breathing, he tells Dynamite that despite doing anything he could to repair his broken bone and restructure organ, his hidden Hakamada style stitching still made sure nothing did to his body will unravel that and cause him more damage. He then expresses his sympathies, aware that each breath Dynamite takes must be exhausting, and any moment won't make it much better. Dynamite then thanks Eggshot for keeping him alive, but the hero believes that even though the work was delicate and excruciating, all he did was patch someone up. He asserts that Dynamite jump-started his vital organs on his own. As during the emergency surgery, when Hope and both of their lives were hitting their limits, he saw the sparkling threads of the boy's explosive sweat rushing through his body and headed straight to the heart. Before they jolted the hero's patent awake. Dynamite then looks up at the sky and wonders if that floating kid really is all for one, which All Might confirms shortly after. He then extended his armored right arm and asked the boy to come over and take his hand, since he can't move due to blood curdle still being active. Dynamite obliges and walks over to All Might before kneeling down, who says that while his last remaining part of the armored All Might has lost his primary function, he can still function as a split for his since crushed right arm. The device then reshapes itself around Dynamite's arm, as All Might says the piece's name. Great explosion murdered God Dynamite, before admitting that this is all has left to do it to give to him. The twisted turn splits namesake. They look at the former number one hero before rushing a pure, bright smile back at him. Up above, a furious All Might, all for one, wonders if he should still go to kill on All Might as his arms regenerate. While attempting the devices to leave them, he starts rushing back to the opposite direction in order to finish what he started in, regardless to power up Tamura and taking all for one through him. The boy's anger continues to bubble as he lived that thing. He's livid that things are going away despite how flexible and elaborate his planning is. Thanks to efforts of the sentient heroes getting in his way, the villain doesn't get too far as Dynamite immediately blasts towards, catches up to him, and declares that he's the final boss of this, before gripping All for One's head and blasting him down to the streets with a supercharged explosion. As the villain starts getting flashbacks to his final moments with the second user, much like Tomura did with his own fight with Dynamite. The boy screams out that he's here to finish the job that all One for All started. All Might marvels as the boy's enhanced speed due to his quirk awakening, as Ed Shot fills him in on the details and says the student was coming to some sort of realization as it happened. So slowly, the fight started to turn back towards the hero's favor as Namosa Mins officially reported apprehension of Spinner and treatment for the injured during the riot of Central Hospital. The disbanding of the near high ends on Okatu Island and the defeat of Canada and rescuing of the other heroes by Invisible Girl and Can't Stop Twinkling, and the arresting of Skeptic. Actually, accidentally, all the civilians have been fully evacuated to Shitusu High School, and all the villains at the ruins of Jaku General Hospital have been pacified. However, the heroes fighting gracefully Inju at Tokuba National Stadium are still struggling on, and Kuguri, along with Eraserhead and President Mike, are still unaccounted for. Back onto the battlefield, as All for One recovers from the blast, Dynamite powers through the intense pain that his quirk is putting him through in order to keep piling on the explosions to extremely boost his attack power. From afar, Tomura calmly remarks that Dynamite is as stubborn as a cockroach for not going to go down easily. The villain then effortlessly breaks out of Blackwood, binding and cracks his neck, nonchalantly promising to repeat what he did to Dynamite in the earlier fight as many times as he needs to. Deku looks on and thinks over his options. Now that his deadlock with Tomura is broken and he can no longer keep a safe distance from him with danger sense. Additionally, he still hasn't figured out a way to bypass the villain's super regeneration and the instances and nature of decay. Awakening, acknowledging that he's hit the point of no return now that he's activated gear shift again, Deku walks his hands together and fires up transmission once more, and four combatants then ready themselves as they prepare to go beyond. All for One wastes no time continuing to rush towards Tomura and Deku, but Dynamite still has him in his sights and mind. With some quick thinking, the boy is able to use the pain of his internal sweat cracking through his body at the time colossal blast on the outside to instantly catch up to the villain. Despite his bleeding out and his body grinding across the freeway, rushing through the several buildings, Dynamite simply laughs at how fast he's going and promises aloud that he isn't stopping anytime soon. He then thinks about his earlier thoughts about whether or not he can catch up to Izuku, and he pops up out of another building, adjust to All for One. He wonders why why it now feels possible to surpass his classmate. Down at Shigatsu High School, the Ibekis watch as at Dynamite's efforts at Mizuki urges his husband to watch their child fight. Masuru refuses to look with tears in eyes. saying that he can't force himself to watch their son fight that monster. Dwight urges him to do it anyway, because even now that their boy still has that signature passionate, battle-hungry smile on his face. As Dynamite fires up another powerful blast from his hands, All For One's mind begins to crumble as he can't understand why someone is deemed so insignificant who abilities he deemed weaker than Endeavor and Tsunami's Dark Shadow is flooding his body with so much intense hatred that it dwarfs the feelings gets from engaging with All Might. All For One then realizes that Dynamite reminds him of One For All's second user and flashes back to the end of his final fight with the latter, just before the villain killed him, along with a slew of fallen. The resident soldier, with blood on face and begins choked out by his sworn enemy, tells All For One that he can't get Yokichi back as his brother gone and the villain has killed him. When on the fumes and the resistance rage he felt back then, out of the depth of his brother and his happenstance beating with the second user, All For One can barely keep himself together as Dynamite blasts the boy into a tower. From the rubble, All For One recalls the moment he saw the second user run off with his brother before desperately shouting that this is all his fault while screaming his name. Kudo Dynamite. Kudo. Dynamite yells out that the villain has completely lost his mind and corrects him on the name he should be referring to him. Gotchan. Bakugo. Please subscribe. Help reach 1,000 plus subscribers. Watch the videos fully. Helps increase the watch hours to 4,000 plus. And help fund the channel by donating monthly on the Patreon page at $8 a month, with 4 posts plus per month, or $3 per post, or one-time donations on the Ko-Fi page. Have a blessed day. See you all next video visit. Bye for now. Bye.